Hi, this is my first live broadcast on my channel. I wouldn't say channel, I would say page, Ruby Red Journey Within. And I often thought that it would be easier for me to basically broadcast or do a live anything on any of my pages. I've done some on my cooking pages, but then this is the first time I'm doing it on my spiritual journey page. And I don't know who's watching, if anybody's tuning in. I thought I would keep this as a reminder, and I would keep the live video here for anybody who would like to watch it on replay. So I'm taking a cue from a lot of other people that do their live broadcasts from their own pages. So I thought it would be nice to have a little niche-based audience rather than have just people on my friends list who know that I do a lot of things and I dabble with a little bit of this and that. But I wanted to be this one a little bit more specific and keep it just to the audience that have liked my page, because I think that's a little bit more niche based, and you truly understand what kind of environment or community or effect that I'm trying to do with this page. And as you have seen the product progression, a lot of my posts have been about my journey within. But often I tend to lose focus that this isn't just a journey within for me. It's a journey within for me, so that if I can discover the light within, the light can also be something that I can share and that I can probably broadcast to a wider audience. And if something that I have said or something that I have done actually helps someone, I think the job of being on social media and helping people cope would have been done for me. And I'm not a professional. I haven't been trained in anything as far as anything is concerned. But then I often find myself always in positions where I learn, and I often think that I can share and I can teach, or I could guide if I can. And a lot of times it's nice to get guidance from people that know exactly what they're doing for certain things. But then there's a lot of aspects and avenues when you can get guidance for simple things like how to get through your day from somebody who's also experienced it. Then it starts to make it a little bit more personal, and it also makes it a little bit more meaningful. So that's my prospect with this whole thing. Now I'm going to try to see if I can probably see if I can share this and on my actual page, or I would just probably wait for myself to finish my broadcast here before I actually share it, I guess. And I'm going to make sure my comments are turned on, so people are watching. So if you are watching, this is a totally spur of the moment thing that I all of a sudden decided I could do, because the whole plan was my husband comes up to me in the afternoon and says, make me a cup of masala chai. So I said, okay, I'll make a cup of masala chai. Then I was like, oh my, but then I'm gonna make chai and stuff, and then next thing I have to start preparing dinner. Oh, here's a little bit of smudge smoke, just to air out my spaces. And it's nice to have the smudge smoke outside, because then the smoke just gets out. And the members of my family don't complain that, oh my goodness, mommy, you're stinking up the place. So it started with a cup of tea. So I said, okay, I'm going to make a cup of tea for him. But he's in a meeting. So unfortunately, today was now one of the days that he could sit down and share a cup of tea. So I said, well, I'm going to take my tea to the deck. But the deck, it's raining. So I was like, okay, so deck's out of the question. Then I said, you know what? I have a decent porch. Even if it sprinkles, I still have a little bit of covering. So I can still sit here. And it's quiet. There's not even a single person outside. Like, seriously, there's not a soul. Quarantine definitely keeps people indoors, and I think this is a time when everybody's like, I don't know, preparing dinner or whatever. So here's a little view of my neighborhood, and as you can see, there's some blooms that have decided to show up in my front yard. Yeah, there is one person. One of the kids in the neighborhood is outside playing, but that's about it. There's nobody out here. There's no soul. So I said, you know what, this is a perfect time to actually sit down, contemplate, and a perfect time to actually shuffle some cards, completely on the spur. And I said, you know what, I'm not going to do it on my personal page. I'll put it on my niche page, because that way, those who really are interested in cards and polls and I don't know, just some kind of guidance, a little bit of light, a little bit of a message, inspiration just for the day. So what I'm going to do is, this is something that I'm going to just completely do, is just shuffle my cards as I chit chat. So I've been having quite a decent tarot learning journey, and I think it's almost complete, because I've managed to cover most of my knowledge of all the cards. And last week I embarked on a 10-day self-love tarot sprint, which was instigated by two of the tarotists that run one of the groups that I'm part of, and it's become my little spiritual community. And so they did this whole thing where, you know, it was basically because Venus was in retrograde, so they figured, oh, let's do this this little thing, almost like a challenge, but a challenge makes it something, you know, like, oh, okay, let's do this. It wasn't about to be that. So they called it a tarot sprint so that we could learn about tarot, basically navigate the aspects of self-love and self-care, and use cards also as a medium to sort of see if we're on the track or try to find us a new track. So it was pretty cool because one of the tarotists, Eliza, she would put daily journal prompts, and she would ask different questions. Like, you know, the first question is like, you know, what is self-love? You know, what is your concept of self-love? And it helped because, you know, you asked that question, you pulled out a card, the card gave you a message, and then you'd use that message and then start writing. And the message would just, the card would just give you like a little guidance on something that you have already learned on your own. So it's more like that. And then, you know, the next day, the journal prompt was, you know, self-care can easily be associated with selfishness. So how do you, you know, what is your view on that, and, you know, things like that. So it was pretty cool. And, you know, we ended the journey. It was a 10-day sprint, so each day we did it. And then there was no compulsion that you had to post right then and there. You could wait a day, you could wait and do 3 days of posts and then post it in one time. So it was nice to have that little freedom to just kind of go with the flow any way you want it. So I liked it because what it basically did was it opened up my channels. It got me thinking every day. It, at least for the first 6 days, I was meditating. I found time in the day to just meditate even for like 15 minutes and then do my journaling and card pulling. So it was pretty cool because it was like time to myself. And if that wasn't self-love and self-care, I don't know what is. You know, being able to find those 15 minutes of the day where you aren't somebody who's running behind a kid or cooking for your family or being a wife or being, you know, the householder and, you know, taking care of everything, taking care of work. So it was pretty nice. And I think it was a good thing for me to get into because then it basically renewed my confidence that I'm still doing this and it's actually working because my intuition actually was working. And a lot of the cards that got pulled out were very appropriate, very apt. They captured exactly the spirit of that particular day's journal prompt. So that was a pretty interesting serendipity. So I'm picking cards today from the Modern Witch Tarot. That's just the guidebook. I didn't have the cover with me because I didn't have enough of a tray, and just enough of a little tray that where I can actually put my little quartz point. So I always do my cards with my quartz because clear quartz basically brings clarity, and a clear quartz point that is pointed upwards channels intuition from the universe and gives you a little bit more of like head clearing space better than anything else. And more than anything else, it's just a symbol of the fact that if you just put your heart to it, you can achieve clarity. Even if it's for 5 minutes of the day, you can get it. You know, it's all in us. It's quite journey. All right. So I've shuffled my cards a few times. There's no hard and fast rule as to how many times you need to shuffle. I'm a newbie at this, so I don't do fancy shuffling. So it's just basically regular shuffling like you would play with a deck of cards. Which is really interesting how, you know, when you learn the history of tarot cards, it's basically started out as a game and then it morphed into what it is today. And then today it's just complete open to interpretation. And there are still actual people that do card readings from actual play cards. It actually works. So they have different styles of card reading. All right, so I'm going to pull out a card today. Let's see what message we have for the first card. All right, so this is the Two of Swords. Now the Two of Swords definitely pertains to the way the world is today, the universe where it's been placed to us. As you can see right in the back, you see a tumultuous ocean, and that is the chaos that is being created in the world today. And as you can see, there's a moon, and it's a crescent moon, quite similar to what we are facing right now because we are in the new moon and we are having the crescent moon, and this is the waning moon, almost on its way to start to become a full moon in a couple of weeks. Now here we have a person, a lady, a person. It could be anyone, it could be a man, it could be a woman, it could be anyone that you perceive, or it's basically a figure, a representation of probably people in the world, or if you look at it from your perspective or your point of view, it could be just you, this could be me. And the Two of Swords basically represents somebody who isn't exactly blindfolded, as in like, is blind to what's going on around. This is basically a person who is abiding and waiting for her time. A lot of us in quarantine are in a wait. There's a lot of waiting for everything. There's a lot of waiting for things to open. There's a lot of waiting for everything to go back to normal. But it isn't, because the sea behind her or him or them is tumultuous. It's in complete disarray. But yet there's hope. As you can see, the land is right behind there. So the purpose is not lost. And yeah, so that's a tumultuous sea. But here's a person sitting there with the eyes closed, legs, and just, this is in preparation, this is in wait, this is in patience. And if you look closely at her face, there's a little bit of calm serenity. This is basically you trying to gather up your resources and getting prepared. It's almost as if you need to get ready for a battle. Because that's exactly where we are right now. We are prepping up for battle. I think the blindfold could also stand for what we have to do now out in the open. If we need to get out of here and do something in any kind of public place, we need to wear a mask. That's because we have to be safe and we have to be ready. And here we have the Two of Swords sitting. So when somebody can actually sit, that means they're not in pain, they're not in turmoil. This is the person that's actually getting prepared. So we're preparing up and we're prepping up for battle right now. And when you have two of everything, it's always about balance. And when something is crossed, because you can see there are two things that are crossed out here. You see arms crossed, the swords are crossed, and so are the legs. The legs are completely relaxed. It's when when you cross your feet, you're always like, you're in a chill mode. So you're basically biding time. You're getting prepared. The sea out there is tumultuous, but you're just gathering up all your resources. By blindfold, you're not exactly blind to it. You're just tuning out for the time being. Like, I'm trying my best to tune out of social media. So there we go. Tune out of social media, tune out of things that don't serve you. Try to gather up your balance. You're gathering up your energy. You're relaxed. You have your feet right there on the ground. Your legs are crossed. Why? Because you're waiting. This is a wait period. So that's our first card. So there's Two of Swords. So we're in a waiting period. Now let's do a little bit more shuffle. So if that card resonates with you, I'm sure it resonates with a lot of people. It resonates for me because every day is a waiting for me. It's like, okay, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen next. What are they going to open up? What are they going to allow? How are things going to play out? And one of the best things about staying, I think, broadcasting outside, in my view, is I'm going to just turn my camera. I don't know if I can catch them before. So there's a bunch of, there's actually oh no, we missed it. There was a mama robin trying to feed the baby robin, and the baby robin's right there in the style. It's so beautiful. This is the part of spring and summer I absolutely adore. Oh, the baby robin just hopped away. The baby robin's still there. I'm actually going to turn my camera and see if I can, I don't know, sneak out and see if you guys can see it. Oh, there it is. You see a little speck right there? You can just look right there on that. Yep. That's a little baby robin. Yeah, we have a couple of nests actually out here. So yeah, there you go. You see a little hop, hop, hop? There it is. Right there. Right there. You can see a little tiny little speck. You can see the wings. Yep, there you go. Yep. There's a whole bunch of them actually. I think there's a whole couple of nests around here. We have a blue jay that has a nest in our neighbor's porch light. And then we have a tree that braces in the backyards. And we have like a whole bunch of cardinals. All right. Coming back to this view. So I just thought a little detour, but we're right in the belly of nature right there. I mean, I don't really live in like the outdoors or anything, but we have a pretty decent neighborhood that suffices for us to stay indoors, but yet have a little bit of taste of nature. Okay, let's do another card. Let's see what this card. So we had our waiting. Now let's see what we have. Oh, yay. We have the Empress. Now the Empress She's actually one of the most badass cards in the major arcana. She stands for everything the card is telling us right here. You know, she stands in for the divine feminine. As you can see, there's the heart, there's the feminine, and she's somebody who is on her throne, but she's always ready for action. She's somebody who you can approach. She's reliable. She's dependable. Yes, she is. She has a regality about her. She's also a no-nonsense person. She has the crowns on her head, and she's not letting that crown or anything go away right now. This is a figure of authority. So I think this is probably one of the things that we need at a time like this. And I think this is a figure that I think anybody can identify with. Everybody needs to find a place where they feel not authoritative, but assertive. And the Empress brings that sort of energy to whichever environment she shows up in. So we just started with the waiting period. So here we are. And here the Empress, she rules. This is her domain. She's pretty comfortable where she is. You can see the little cushion in the back. That's because she ain't going anywhere. So a lot of us right now, sitting at home, doesn't matter who you are, this is the one domain where we can pretty much assert ourselves. Doesn't matter what's going on in the outside world, but this is the one place that I think we feel that there's some semblance of sense that can be achieved because we're putting our mind to it. I don't know. Yep. Sorry, my connection is going to keep fading away because this part of my house actually has very bad Wi-Fi. But so yay, the Empress. So what I also like to do is when I pull out these cards, there's also a nice little, in this little book, they don't give you, there's no full explanation, but I often like to just pull out. They have like 4 lines, which is pretty apt and perfect. Because honestly speaking, anybody who pulls, has already started doing cards should probably already know the interpretations. Like I'm trying to, I pretty much do. So it always is nice to, have the reinforcement of what you're trying to say. So, but before I open up the book, let me add a few more things that I think the Empress has to say in her card. So the Empress is also not just an assertive figure. She's not just somebody who is queen of her realm, the leader of her realm. She's also somebody who is all about love and compassion. She represents hope, and she represents love, and she represents an open kind of love. As you can see, there's a heart right there, and then she's wearing white. So white is always a symbol of hope, light, inspiration. In my world, I think it depends. I guess it also represents light, and of course like dependability. So she's a person that is full of love, and I think that's one of the things that I think is probably one of the hardest things to channel while we're sitting at home. That's one of the things that we have to be thankful about. That's some of us that do, is that we have a whole treasure trove of love in our homes, and that's what's getting us through even the worst of days. Even on the worst of days, my kids, my husband, everybody's driving me crazy. But at the end of the day, when we retire to bed, I definitely take a look at each and every one of them, and I'm thankful for them and thankful for their love, and that's what's getting me through every day. We're like, okay, we're here, we're gonna get through this. All right. I'm basically, thank you, Internet. So this is what the Empress stands for, and honestly speaking, she encompasses my whole. Started talking about my self-love journey, the self-care journey, and the Empress is representative of that, definitely. So I think her showing up like this in a card, I think she's awesome for anybody who is trying to get on that journey of trying to make sure that they take care of themselves. So love is everything. The Empress is feeling herself. All right. I just had to switch over from Wi-Fi to LTE so that I can finish this broadcast because I really don't want interruptions. So I started reading about the Empress. So the Empress is feeling herself. Aren't we all? This benevolent goddess is alive and truly connected to the world and others through passion and pure emotions. The Empress is empowered by her love and sexuality. She gives life to the lush vegetation and receives life from the powerful river. So if you're a mom, self-made, stay-at-home, right now you're a stay-at-home, working, everything mom, the Empress pretty much is you. So in times of strife, channel the Empress. She's right there because you are the Empress. All right. She welcomes pleasure and feelings and fills each moment with ecstasy. Okay, that part I don't know, because there's days when I'm like, ecstasy, what the heck is that? I don't know what ecstasy is. How am I supposed to get into ecstasy when I'm just worried about, the very next step that I have to take? So no, ecstasy is definitely not in. But you know what? It's a pretty good ideal to keep, in our heads. Yeah, so think of it. For me, the Empress is just, us trying to be assertive and trying to rule our dominion the best ability that we can in whichever world that is we do. All right. Here the Empress tells us, think less, feel more. Embrace self-love and use self-love to build stronger and more profound connections with family, friends, or lovers. I can't think of any other better time than self-isolation, social distancing, sitting in your house, spending as much time as you can within your home as a time to do this. And I think each and every one of us is probably trying to do this because we need to find something to hold on to. There are times when I feel I'm grasping for straws, but my self-love journey that's been going on for a while and that's been asserted with the challenge I went on to last week, I think has helped. Really, really helped. And anyway, so drink from the cup of love. Allow it to nourish and warm you. Through love, you will find deep meaning and fulfillment. Well, love, love, love. It's all in here for you if you let it in. It's like that Beatles song, right? All you need is love. Love is all you need. So, Rex, next card. If you have something to sip at, drink, please go ahead. Grab it. I've got one more card that is begging for me to pull. So I'm not going to shuffle this time because I already did a couple of shuffles. So let's see what this is. Okay. Oh, bummer. Okay, we have an upside down card. And here we have is Temperance. Now, in a traditional sense, when the card is upright, so technically an upside down card doesn't actually always mean bad things. Because a lot of times people will be like, oh crap, I've got a reverse card. Now, a reverse card doesn't have to be a bad thing. It does not have to be something that we have to be scared about, but definitely is something that we have to be cautious about. So when I always get like a reversed card, if my interpretation of the card is something that I'm comfortable with, I will read the reverse setting. But if it's a card that I feel I haven't really worked with it before, I won't do a reverse reading and I will just pull it upright and I'll still read the card for you. So I always choose my mood. So it's a lot of times the card will say, no, today's not a day for it to be read reversed. Today's not a day for it to be thing. But I feel that a Temperance card reversed isn't a bad thing at all. Because right now, Temperance also stands for balance. Temperance is a card that has a lot of aspects to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the thing upright, show you all the symbols, and then I will read it for you reversed. So a Temperance is an angel, stands as an angel who is gender fluid. So the angel can represent any person or any being that you feel connected to. And a Temperance is also a symbol of the balance and the flow of life. As you can see, the angel of Temperance is holding 2 goblets, pouring water, and this is the give and take of life. And you have sunflowers, which are representative of life, red fiery wings that represent passion and fire. And as you can see, there's like rainbow colored, she's wearing a rainbow colored sweatshirt, which basically signifies hope. And she's got a little triangle right there. That's the Trinity of life. And finally, the angel of Temperance has 1 foot in the water and 1 foot on the earth. And there's a beautiful lush valley in the back. So this is the imagery of a Temperance card upright. Now, when you show up with a Temperance card that is reversed, I've actually read this particular Temperance card before, I think upright, in one of my readings on my other Facebook page. So here, the context of the Temperance card is, all I see is that there's been like a little upset in the balance of the world today, the universe and everything. There's a lot of uncertainty. We're all facing it. It doesn't matter where you come from, which country you're in. It's amazing how this whole situation has become something as universal as it can get. But it's still very sad to see that not everybody in the world is seeing it that way. No one is seeing the unifying factor. In fact, all we see is that there's more chances for division. Why? Because the whole balance of life has been upset. the whole equation of life has been upset. Everything that we held dear, everything that we knew as certain, has been disrupted. So there's definitely been like a little shakedown. So everything right now may look very hopeless. Everything looks bleak. Everything that we try, whatever it is that you undertake, seems to, you know, be there, but there's not much fulfillment in it. But just know it's always a temporary situation, because the sun, no matter how upside down you look or right side up, the sun's always going to stay shining. Now, sunflowers upright, they represent the sun. The sun doesn't change just because you're looking at it from a different direction. The sun still gives you energy no matter how you look at it. So that's the only thing that you need to hold on to, despite this whole upset of balance all over the world, in your lives, in everybody's lives. That just keep the hope, because there's always, that's the only thing that's going to hold us and keep us in together. And try to channel the things that you believe in, because the belief that you have that keeps you strong, that keeps you going every day, basically it's just that little power that lets you get up every morning. It's what lets you put on those robes, mantle of whatever it is that you're putting on, whether it is taking care of your child, it is taking care of your parents, getting to work, showing up for your coworkers online. No matter what it is that you're doing, you're pulling through. That's because you have that little beacon of light always shining, no matter how upside down the world seems to right now. And it may look like everything is on a downturn, like, oh crap, everything's going down, but it doesn't have to be. See the triangle too, even though it looks upside down, but that doesn't change the trinity, right? The trinity of life just still stays the same. The alchemy of life is not going to change just because it's upside down. It doesn't matter. The balance is still going to be there. The waters are going to keep flowing. Life is still going to go on. And hope is always going to shine. So, pretty interesting. So, here we have, I love doing these little things. Here we have the Two of Swords. So, here we go. We're in a waiting period. So, hang in there. Gather up your resources. Chill. Look at that. She's got her feet crossed. Chill it out. Don't worry about it. The sea behind is tumultuous, but you're prepared. You're getting there. And then you had the Empress. Yeah. So remember, you're the queen of your realm. You are infinite love. So here you go. Give yourself a break sometimes, even if it's on a weekday. I try to do that. And it's hard because you feel guilty. You're like, oh my God, am I missing out on something? Am I not, doing my duty as whatever that I have to do? Am I taking care of my parents? Am I taking care of my kids? What am I doing? A few minutes of the day for self-love is not a bad thing. And then, of course, make sure everything's out of balance, but it's only temporary. Temperance. I call it temperance. I call it temporary. Why not, right? Okay. Our fourth card here is the Ten of Pentacles. All right. It's reversed, but I'm uprighting it right now. So there we go. So actually, you know what? Let's not do that. Let me do a shuffle, because the Pentacle card is always tricky. And yeah, with card readings, there isn't a hard and fast rule. If I feel that card is like, meh, I'll put it away. Let's do a little shuffle and see if we can. Sometimes these cards are just left from when I did my last reading with them, which has been a couple of weeks, I think. And let's pull out something else. Let's pull out a cup. So here we have is the Nine of Cups. Another badass card. So here we have the Nine of Cups. Once again, crossed feet means somebody who is very relaxed. Crossed arms, again, relaxed, lying in wait. This is basically a person that's like sitting there and saying, I'm waiting, but I'm not waiting for anyone. I'm just waiting, biding my time, gathering up all my energies, putting all my cups in a row. Ta-da! And I'm a queen in my own stage. I'm just waiting. Look at that. This like a very benevolent, like, hey, you know what? I'm in a chill place. Just give me some time. I'm taking a break. So here's a chance for you to actually take the energy from this card and say, hey, I'm going to take a break. So everything leads to a message that ties everything together. Definitely ties everybody together. So first you start with your wait period. So hang in there. Oh, sorry. They're not upside down. It's supposed to be right side up. Wait. Oh, actually, I pulled it out upside down, so everything came upside down. Hey, I need to get better at this. Practice some self-love. Be the empress of your own domain. Don't worry, it's all gonna be okay. Everything will be all right. Keep saying that to yourself. And yeah, because your cups are on a roll, because you're just preparing and biding for time. You're waiting, but you're waiting for the right time to make your move, to make the next move. But there's a lot of patience that's required at a time like this. And I can't think of any other time where, everything has to be done with patience. So most of the cards that I have been drawing off late have all pretty much like pointed to the words of, gathering up your resources, trying to wait, think before you act. And I've been trying to tell people that. I've been trying to tell everybody in my family that too, because we have the luxury of time. We have the fact that we can actually take a deep breath. We set our own schedules. That's one of the advantages of still being able to be employed and yet make your own schedule is, you have like a basic time. You have to wake up at this time and do your work, but you can actually bide your time. So before you take your next step, you can always think about what your next step is going to be. And because one day is just melting into the other. We have reached almost the end of May, actually, which is like, wow. I never thought we'd make it this far to this point without fear ruling our lives, which it did when everything started in March. And I found that fear is not ruling our lives now, because what's ruling our lives is caution and patience, and definitely perseverance, because we're all persevering. We're going to make the best of what we have. We've been given our resources. I was all prepared actually for like grocery stores to be like bolted and shut down, apocalypse style. And it almost was. When all the grocery stores started cutting down their hours, all of a sudden I was like, oh. So it doesn't help somebody who's already anxious for the first on top of it. And I think a lot of us, even though we've not been so anxious and we're trying to get into the rhythm of life, our anxieties have been coming out to the fore. And it's been hard. And I think trying to hold on to something has been hard. So what I have been doing personally is I was always an introverted extrovert. That's what I found out about myself a few years ago. And I've shared it very often. But what I also realized is that, there's always time to socialize. There's always time to get out there. There's always time for vacation. I'm a little scared, actually. I don't know what anybody else is feeling, but I'm scared that things are opening up, but how's it still going to be? Because, I feel there's a lot of stupid people out there. And it hurts, to see that one human will actually, subject another human to callousness just because they want something that, that they want. It's horrible. And I shared something about two young people now wearing masks at the local ice cream place down the street from me. And then I speak to a couple of my friends who live in Horseheads, which is like 20 minutes away. And my friend basically said, oh yeah, there's like ice cream places here. I refused to even get down from the car to even take my kids because nobody had a mask on and there was no social distancing. So I feel sorry for the businesses that are doing that, because they're well on their way to get shutters down. Because if they start becoming a hub for people that are not, at least trying their best to even show that they're being safe, they're going to get shut down and the shutters are going to get pulled down. And I think they're afraid. I feel for them too, because I think they're afraid they'll lose customers in business if they say no mask, no service. But this is the new norm of the world. I mean, I feel that, if healthcare workers can wear masks from 9 to 12 hours, protective clothing, I think people like us, who can afford to, can wear a damn mask or at least cover our faces when we go somewhere. It's the least we can do. But it's also scary because, there are people doing that and they're still getting sick. So I guess it's a question of, saying that, if you get the flu, it's bad luck. So if you get the COVID, it's bad luck, right? But the only way that we can keep ourselves strong is to be prepared. They're like, okay, even if this does happen, even if we do have to self-quarantine, to actually tell my friends whose, family members have had to come back from traveling and had to quarantine, and you have no choice. But, I think that, we just have to be prepared and, brace ourselves for any kind of change that happens. But on the other hand, some semblance of sensible life should also be maintained at a distance. I'm sure we can all plan our days and do everything. So that's what's been happening with us. We've been planning our days. It's still taking a little struggle to get my family members to get out of the house, out of our neighborhood. So hopefully this weekend, with the weather getting nicer, I might be able to take them outside, because I'm itching to go somewhere outside of my zip code for a couple of hours. without having to, keep looking over my shoulder, worry about, social distancing. But I've been hearing from some of my friends that not all cities are bad. So my friend who lives up in Ithaca, which I like to go to a lot, said that Ithaca citizens are doing a really good job of keeping the social distancing. So I'm feeling a little bit more hopeful. A lot of my friends from Corning have taken their kids to outdoor stuff in Ithaca.
I do live.
Yeah, yeah. And it's public. You might not want to be showing your face out here. Can you leave?
Oh, I haven't read yet. I was just playing in the sink.
You're playing in the sink. I asked you to read your book. That's your last task for today. This is exactly what I go through every day. Someone keeps having to be reminded that they have to do their work. Okay, apparently I'm supposed to let everybody on my page know that you should check out his YouTube channel. So
It's called Wolf_Light.
that's okay. I think it's a page. I think I can share it. So I will be sharing his YouTube channel. And please be sure to subscribe to his channel.
I really want to sell my merch.
He wants to sell his merch. Okay, can you go now? Because this is my space. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.
I maintained silence when you were shooting your video.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, he has a YouTube channel, so it's hilarious to sit there. So he was recording something, of course, in his free time. He finished all his schoolwork, so he was rewarded with his iPad. So he asked me permission. Can I record a video? So I was like, yeah, sure. And he has like rules and stuff like that where he's not supposed to show his face, and he can't divulge any kind of personal information or anything. And his 15-year-old brother controls his YouTube account. So yeah, so I have like a little wannabe YouTuber on my hands. And yeah, so he wants people to subscribe. So I'm like, okay, fine. We're letting him, explore his creativity in any way possible, as long as he does it in a safe manner, which is fine. And we got to keep these kids engaged, somehow. But of course, also while maintaining some sort of rules that you can't be sitting in front of the idiot tablet the whole day. So he basically gets to earn his time on his tablet. And right now, he's not been. But when he doesn't do his tablet, he's usually jumping around in the backyard or in the front yard. And yeah, so things are much better. So let's all just hold on together. So today was a completely on the spur of the moment. I had a cup of tea sitting down. I was outside, so I thought, okay, it's quiet. There's really nobody outside. And I had a little bit of a break from dinner duties today because I have a new Instapot and just cooking in that. And so here we go. So this is today's reading. So if you want to get a little bit more in-depth personal advice, I would love to pull a card for people. So send me a private message, and I seem to have gotten my affairs in order, and I'm actually done with my last list of card reads, and I'm going to be opening up a third list on my personal Facebook, but I'll probably leave a message here as well on this page for people who would like to PM my page, and I can definitely pull out a card. When I do a card reading, it's a little bit more in-depth, and your reading will be personal, private, and I'll give you choices of decks to choose from, so you definitely have a little bit more variety. I have a couple of decks, so if something like a modern witch tarot does not exactly people don't identify with it, I can definitely pick up like the traditional tarot deck, or I could just pick up I have these two artistic decks which are really cool. So I can pick up the art deco decks because they're really nice, and they have these imagery that people tend to enjoy looking at because it's mostly kitschy, actually the one that I have is it's nouveau, it's art nouveau, so it's nice. It's a good little card and deck, and I haven't worked completely with it, but a lot of times when I tell people that that's the deck I'm going to be working on, it gets me to actually communicate with it a little bit better. So right now I'm only working with decks that I'm comfortable working it. When I did my self tarot sprint, I used the green witch deck, so it was nice. So each deck comes with its own little adventures. Their interpretations are different. They have a common thread, but then the imagery is always like a little bit different from each, and a lot of times there isn't that much seriousness in the decks anymore, so there's a little bit flexibility for the person like me, who's new into all this to try to read. I can't call myself new anymore because I do a pretty interesting job of reading, because I pick up the card and I'm able to talk about it and still manage to maintain its essence. But my thing is to not memorize what the books have to say. That's the key. The books are cool, they give you a nice little guideline, but memorizing is that doesn't serve the purpose. It needs to be something that's impromptu. But thanks for joining my first live on Ruby Red Journey Within. And thanks to everybody who was watching. I'll see you all later. Of course, I see you on my personal Facebook as well. But I wanted to leave something on my public page so that it's something that I can always go back to and refer. And I think at some point I'm going to start uploading my live reads onto my YouTube channel. That way I have something for posterity, because sometimes the Facebook lives can be a little glitchy and they might actually like go away, because I've seen people do that and post and then share, and next thing you know their video is gone, but they had the fortitude to actually back it up. So I hope you all have a good rest of the day. It's almost the weekend, and yeah, there's more shenanigans that comes from my world on the weekend, so stay tuned for more. Until then, I'm gonna say goodbye and lots of blessings, and take care.